Future trading involves risk and is not suitable for all investors. Content provided in this segment is meant for educational purposes and is not a solicitation to buy or sell commodities.
All right, hello everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Tech Talk. I am Cody. With me is Andy. It is a brand new year, 2023. Happy New Year to everybody.
Happy New Year. Let's go.
Andy, how you doing this new year?
Good. Did you stay up till midnight?
I did not. I fell asleep much faster than midnight, I'll tell you that.
Much faster, huh?
Yeah.
Time goes
But
faster.
we're still here. We're still here in the new year, still ringing it in and excited to be back with the people of the Tech Talk universe.
What was your pie of choice? Did you have any pumpkin pie for Christmas? I don't think we've had an edition of the show since Christmas and New Year's.
I don't think pumpkin pie is actually a Christmas thing, but I did not. If it is, I did not.
I'm almost positive you said your favorite pie was pumpkin. We'll go back and look at the tape. We'll look at the tape. Go to the tapes.
Pull up the tapes. Everybody loves pie.
What's your favorite kind of pie?
Oh my goodness. I'd have to say pumpkin. I know it's not the favorite for this time of the year, but pumpkin pie. Ipso facto, I did not have any pumpkin.
Ipso facto, no pie for Cody. Maybe it's the new year. Maybe I'll get some pie this year. Who knows? All right. Well, let's take a look at the first one. I've got CME Cheese here, and so last traded price. This is the weekly average of the block and the barrel. The last traded price, you can't see, it's 185 on average. So obviously started the week out. What were we down? Like 12 or 13 cents on average. It was a short week, so we started on Tuesday, but they just hammered it. Had a little bit of continued to break on Wednesday. Today's Thursday afternoon. So then Thursday morning, had a little bit of a rebound. It wasn't a ton, right? I mean, we were up, call it 6.5 cents, 6.25 cents. But again, we've seen a pretty significant break. But why I brought this one up was, it depends on where you want to start drawing this upward trend. You could do it kind of more like here and start with just having like the bodies of candles be the first instant, like here and then here. Like the actual body itself rather than the wick. Either way, if assuming we close here this week, which we still have tomorrow, right? But assuming you close here this week, you will get a close through this, what has been an upward trend since middle of July of 2021. So it's been on the uptrain here for a year and a half. If you're going off of this. So I think what you would need to see is, let's say we just park ourselves right here for tomorrow, Friday, right? We just unchanged, settle out at 185. We tried to break through this once before the end of the year. So this was weekend in the 16th, and you promptly rejected that, right? So what's interesting about this is that, what's going to be the response? Let's say we're unchanged tomorrow. What's going to be the response come Monday? I think if you were to get an open lower, let's say, settle Monday's cash session at 183. You're going to open lower. That would be a pretty strong confirmation of a breakout of a trend that's been occurring or has really been building since the middle of 2021.
I agree. There's quite a bit of, at the middle of this year, in the August-September type time frame, we hit 180 in cheese, and it kind of looks like there's quite a bit of support down there. Mm-hmm. And 5 cents away maybe tells us that's the next place to go test.
Yeah.
Breaking through there, I don't know what you think about $1.70, but there's a pretty good doji, a pretty good wick that we saw at the beginning of 2022.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah, down to $1.70, and then rebounded off that.
Yeah, I mean, you said it yourself. 180. Let's say we get the open lower next week, right? And it's 180, right?
Yeah.
Ton of support right there. Total launch pad off of that. Same thing back here too, right? It was a point of resistance here, and here. Right. This was the beginning of 2021, the middle of 2021, the end of 2021. This was a big number for resistance. And then to your point, again, it became support. So 180 is a number it's a huge number for this market.
Yeah.
Again, like it's since we got through all this business in 2020, we've seen it be just a price that the market either doesn't like or explodes off of.
It seems to be a big do or die number.
Yeah. I think it's a great way to put it. And so now we're, I guess, kind of tying in a little bit of fundamental stuff to it. You and I were talking about it before. We saw that Midwest milk report, show pretty hefty discounts in spot milk in the Midwest. That can change pretty quickly, right? And so, but you are seeing some discounted milk in some pretty heavy cheese states. It's also the time of the year where you typically start to see, folks that, they need to be rebuild inventory, but maybe that's really that much seasonal demand. I don't know. We'll see. Futures, we'll take a look at futures in a second, but futures have been pretty prone to maintaining a discount to cash, especially like, Feb and March contracts. Mm-hmm. But I want to bring this one up, broke through what has been a major uptrend need to see a confirmation of this by closing here tomorrow and then opening lower on Monday. But if we did, and let's say we got through, then what are we going to do at $1.80?
Right.
Can we break through that price? And if we did, well then, yikes, you've got a lot of room between here and here to kind of break down. And that's been a price. I mean, this price level, we haven't seen that in a while.
No, we hadn't. And when last time we did see it, we were there. We were stuck in that trend for quite some time.
Yeah. We'll see what tomorrow brings. We'll see what Monday brings.
For sure.
What's the next one? Spot butter, one of your favorites.
An oldie but a goodie.
Yikes. An oldie but a goodie. We haven't touched anything in terms of things that have been drawn from this chart. No. Zero. This is the first thing that caught my eye. This guy right there, 226. Are we going?
It looks like it. After, like you said, we have one more day in spot butter. We've had very little movement the past couple days, past 2 weeks, I'd say. Maybe the majority of that is because we're in the holiday season right now. But it sure looks like that is the next testing point.
I'm not going to. I know you love your gaps.
There's a gap right there. We filled the one that you had circled before, up there at 245 to 250.
Okay.
And it looks like this one at 226 is just kind of hanging out waiting for us.
It's got your name written all over it, dude. This is where we're going.
It really does. It really feels like it does, man.
It doesn't really look like there's anything particularly bullish about this chart. I mean, I suppose you could see some kind of retracement and then come back down. But, to have this gap not even get tested, I mean, that's a massive one, right? And then just bump up against all this and then just collapse. Yeah. So gap looks like it's going to be a magnet.
Yeah.
Well, that one isn't as much fun. Let's look at a little milk, huh? Bam. What do you think here, boss?
I mean, a little bit of an uptick today, finally. It's something that we haven't seen in quite a while. There's not really, to me, nothing on this chart really, kind of like Butter says that it's got to be bullish by any means, but I was looking at it on a monthly earlier and we were kind of chatting, and 1850 really sticks out, on the monthly chart, which we're below that at this point right now. But this chart does not seem bullish right now to any spec.
So let's look at that 1850 real fast. I'll kind of zoom in, zoom out kind of thing. But so what's interesting about that is 1850 was a price. It basically, after you had these three pretty aggressive candles, 1, 2, 3, right? Let me just get the cursor going here for a second. Bam. All right. So 1, 2, 3, right? Pretty aggressive candles. And that's where you stopped. 18 and a half. Tried to recoup and then broke right through it again. And you saw another attempt to get back to that 8. That 1850 number seems to be a price where the market maybe doesn't seem to like. It just seems to want to have a lot of noise there. But to your point, I mean, this is it's a clear downtrend.
And I think maybe a better way to look at it is if you go to a weekly on this, it is a direct stair step. I mean, a perfect stair step lower since we've been at $22.
Yeah.
Week down, we'd have 1, 2, 3 weeks flat to neutral. Another week, I mean, just straight down, and it would just do that multiple times over and over again.
Yeah. And I think you had mentioned it earlier, not on the show, but seasonally, this is typically a time when you start to see some weakness in this contract too. Not to say it's going to happen just because it happened prior years, but I don't know, maybe you could talk to that a little bit. Like what typically happens around middle of January.
Well, I think John and I talked about it on the podcast. We had started last year at these same exact prices going into Jan, Feb, March, even April in the class 3 spectrum. And then we kind of rallied out of that and took ourselves back higher to $24, $25. I think the big difference there fundamentally was the milk production, right? We were lessening milk beginning of last year. And now we're kind of seems to be from USDA milk productions adding more milk month to month. But once we kind of get into June, we still have the super mold demand ahead of us, right? That's the one big thing that people are looking forward to. But after getting into June and kind of getting into quarter 2, you start looking at the spring flush, which is also kind of a bearish sentiment to the market. Mm-hmm. I think what you and I talked about last time on our last episode of 2022 was being in the holiday demand. Now that the holiday demand is past us, there's not really a need to go out there and maybe get as much product trading hands. So you necessarily just kind of same thing we saw last year is take a little bit of a dive lower, right?
Yeah.
Which is exactly what we've been doing to a T right now.
Yeah. No, to your point, the chart itself has just been trending lower. It depends on where you want to have this thing start, where you want this trend to start. I think you can have multiple kind of points of contact, so to speak.
Right.
that start to draw some of these, like, if we broke out, where would be some new targets? I would imagine the first one would be, if you can close back above 18 and a half, you would need to break through what has been pretty, I don't say long-term downward trend, but something that's held for, call it, like 5+ weeks. So you broke through that, which would be this guy right here. Then the next target would be kind of this mid 19 type number. Assuming Way holds there, though, when you start talking about 19 and a quarter, what's a month that has that? So that's like a June, for example. Now you're talking about close to $2 cheese on average again. Is that a price that we feel like could be there for March? So yeah, I mean, again, trend is lower. What do we need to see in order to see some sort of like a reversal? I think the first step is get a close over this 18 and a half where the market stopped, consolidated, and then try to break again. From there, then it turns into, can you break through the longer term downward trend and then test another one of these, again, even longer downward trend?
I think tomorrow's going to be another big day. Obviously, Friday tomorrow. I wonder if you start seeing something like you saw in November, beginning of November at 1945 to 1950 there, where we kind of made a nice little wick at the bottom and then started projecting ourselves higher.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I guess tomorrow, if you get an open above where we sell today and can maintain that through tomorrow, possibly getting up to that 1850, that would be the next bullish touch to this chart.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I mean, if you're looking for a spot to at least liquidate or get long, we got to cross over 18 and a half. We got to close over that price first. So get ready. You got the hammer?
We're ready. We got
the hammer. Get the hammer. It's hot.
Check this thing.
It's hot right now. Let me see it. What do you get? Let me see.
One of our favorite, March corn.
March corn, hammer of truth, hammer of justice, all that stuff. Does it dispense justice, or is it just truth?
I think it's just at this point dispensing truth. We'll have to get to the justice a little later on down the line.
It's a hot hammer. There's no HOJ to it.
That's true.
But we'll see. Maybe a little bit later. So I think part of, okay, so taking a step back, we were of the opinion that we had this, we wanted to buy it here. And then I think we also said that we felt like it can continue. Obviously, we got hammered here. Pretty aggressive retracement. I mean, when you look at the chart just from like here, right? It looked like it was getting ready to go to at least test $7. Broke out of the downtrend, had a nice close, multiple, instances of closing higher in a row. Not to be. Now that we've gotten back into this kind of consolidation period, what do you think? What's the hammer saying? What are you thinking here?
The hammer is telling us that March corn is a buy.
So you've got the hammer out. You're hammering.
I am. And the reason I say that is just the way that it closed today, bouncing off of today's lows, touching 650 and rebounding off that. But also 650 was also a big point of consolidation, like you had mentioned, in the beginning of December. We fell apart a little bit after that to 640, but then really rebounded ourselves higher. And it became just a very good testing point from where you and I first started talking about this to have the trajectory up, right? Now that we've seen everything kind of fall apart back down to 650, I really feel like this is going to turn into a bullish chart.
Okay. So I guess conversely, like, where would you say, okay, you want to own it at 650. Let's say you bought it at 650 today. Where would you say this isn't working? I'm wrong. Because you do have, I mean, I guess to kind of throw a little devil's advocate at you, you do have what was a chart that was holding above all three 20, 50, and 200-day moving averages, very quickly dropped below all of those, which is not a good sign for the bulls. Where would you say you're wrong here?
I think where I'd say I was wrong, if we get down to that 635 number that we were at before, that where you really started to propel ourselves higher. Yeah. If we get down there and settle below 635, I think you can honestly say that I was completely wrong right there. Yep, exactly right there. Because at that point, now you've darn near crossed into that long-term moving average that you have drawn there. Also,
yeah,
you get back into below it.
Yeah. No, I hear what you're saying for sure. I mean, you broke out from this downtrend or sharply retraced it. But if you were to come back below it, that would be a big sign of weakness. But I agree. I mean, this was a price point where the market just hit the launch button from, more or less. So to go back to that price, especially if you went back to it really quickly and then settle below it, that would be, I'd say, pretty tough. So I agree. First hammer of the new year, you're saying buy.
Hammer truth. It's telling us March corn's a buy.
Just buy them. All right. Well, that's a good way. I think that's a good way to end the show. What do you think?
I agree. I think that was a great first 2023 Tech Talk that we had this year, and we'll definitely have plenty more to come. We appreciate everybody watching. If you have not already, please subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, give us a thumbs up, tell your friends, tell your family, tell your coworkers. Andy and I and Paige are working hard on these shows. Give us a watch every week and leave us a review. Shoot us emails, texts, phone calls, different charts that you would like to see, and we would be happy to look at them and maybe give them a hammer of truth if they deserve it.
Ask for the hammer, and we'll find out what other things the hammer can dispense. Justice.
That's right.
Righteous.
That's right.
I don't know. Pick something.
But
you need to get
until then, everybody, we will see you next week. But until that time, everybody have a great week. Have a great weekend. Stay safe. We'll see you soon.
All right. See you.